Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Scorpio. If Scorpio is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so our card tonight is the Three of Wands. That has everything to do with virtue. All right, let's see what these tea leaves have to say. Kind of everything grouped together. Okay, immediately I'm seeing a face. We've had a lot of aliens lately. Aliens on the brain, I think. And they are just coming through. So we have kind of, it looks like, now if this is the outer part of the head, and it goes around to here, and you can see the eye here, here is the nose, here is the mouth, and oh geez, I forgot to turn off the water thing. My little water dispenser likes to get real loud. Okay, so we have this face that just popped out immediately. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on with this energy. I feel like it's been in quite a few of my readings. And I don't know. Maybe I really think that a lot of us that are kind of drawn to this world of divination, scrying, prophecy, seeing, whatever it is, paranormal, high strangeness. We have some personal experience with what we might feel to be some kind of extraterrestrial things, beings, or maybe interdimensional, or some kind of like elemental intelligences of some kind. It seems like there are a lot of different things going on out there. I don't know what all of them are exactly. I'm no expert. But I don't know. I believe, right? So this one, it looks like a gray. It looks like a classic kind of gray. So I am one, and it's funny because it also has, if you turn it this way, it kind of looks like an owl. Okay, and I've been talking about this recently in the readings, is that there's this, in ufology, there is this connection between owls and, aliens of different species. And I don't know exactly what that is, but it always comes to mind when I see the owls in my reading. So as I asked on another reading, hopefully it wasn't a Scorpio one, but if it was, that's okay. Maybe you didn't see it, or maybe you did and you didn't share your stories, but please, in the comments, I love hearing about people's experiences with any kind of, like I said, high strangeness or UFO, seeing things or some kind of contact. Now, I also think that when we have these symbols, because they're symbols, it doesn't necessarily mean this is exactly what's going on. I do feel like this is often related to a part of our life where we might be feeling, and I know it's kind of cheesy, but alienated, right? We might be feeling othered, okay? Kind of pushed to the side, dismissed, not listened to. Maybe we have kind of always been that person in our family, in our social circles. Maybe it's just something, even though we are among others and well accepted maybe, it might just be that thing within us that always kind of makes us feel like we don't really belong. Okay? Now, I don't know a ton about starseeds, and I know there's a lot of things like, what is that thing called? Like the RH negative, I think it is, where you have different kind of, I don't know, alien DNA or whatever. And there's a lot of mythologies, right? We've all seen things like Chariots of the Gods, or I don't know, Ancient Aliens. That was a real popular one. I didn't see a ton of that one, but I didn't have cable a lot when that was on. But I know that it was, it had things about kind of hybrids and things like that. So maybe you identify as not fully human. There are a lot of people that do. I don't know a ton about that stuff though. That's not exactly my forte, but I should read more about it for sure. But I know that it's something that people relate to, and so that might be an energy that we're picking up on here too. Okay, but whatever it is, it doesn't feel nefarious to me. We have that owl, and I feel like really this seems like and hello TT, speaking of little aliens. It seems like a time where maybe, you are kind of sitting back watching what's going on. And feeling like maybe you don't quite belong in the family. Maybe you don't quite belong in your friends group. Maybe even in your own relationship. Maybe even in, your own marriage. And that happens. It doesn't, just because two people come together and get married doesn't mean that there's always a feeling of fully connecting in a way that is cosmic and universal, and there's full understanding there. I think more often than not, it's not that at all, right? There's love there, there's attraction, and there's the ability to coexist and run a functional home and family and so on. So I think that this is something that is highlighted. It doesn't surprise me with a Scorpio. I feel like Scorpios, in my experience, okay, I feel like a lot of times Scorpios are really kind of like, they're like the cowboys, like the lone cowboys of the signs. Very interesting, charming, very particular about their, little mannerisms and their aesthetic and how everything is kind of kept in their environments, the energy they put off, kind of very mysterious and, just kind of an underlying sensuality in some ways. And people are drawn to you, right? But there's this kind of like, you can never really catch a Scorpio fully. I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know how that, I don't have the formula for that. Maybe you do, since you're the Scorpio. But I do think that there's like a similarity there in archetypes, okay? So, I don't think it's abnormal to see something like this and think, okay, well, maybe there's like, a feeling of disconnect happening. Maybe there's a feeling of where it's really pronounced, feeling kind of, out there, a singular being in this wide universe, kind of, sailing the seven seas or the cosmic ocean or whatever, in your little sailboat and far, far away from anything else, that might feel like it is fully akin to that most interior place. Okay. Now, I don't know that you're searching for this, this connection. I kind of almost wonder if that has been something that you have tried in the past, you know, tried to find kind of a mate that a mate that you could be fully yourself, and you know, when they are fully themselves, there is this you know, soul union, and maybe that just hasn't really worked out so much. Maybe it doesn't really seem like something that is fully possible. You know, and as much of a romantic as I am, I don't know how often that happens for people. Now, I think it can definitely happen in moments, right? But to have a sustained feeling of this union would mean that there's no growth by either person, and then you're always just in the same exact place as the other person. And so I feel like it's kind of a continued, like, there's growth, and then we have to kind of grow back together, and, you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that there's any conflict or anything, but that there's a continued renewal, which I think is beautiful, because then it's like you are choosing the person over and over again. But I feel like even maybe you have found that in fragments, like most, you know, that's what we all kind of do. I assume that's what I imagine. You know, but that I feel like there's also this pursuit of, like, I just want to fully swim in the love of somebody, for it to be infinite and full, and, you know, and maybe that is out there. I'm not saying that it's not. It could be. I think that maybe only that love exists within our relationship to the divine, right? And so when we form that relationship with the divine and it is activated, so then it can manifest in the other beings around us, right? That are, we've chosen them to be part of our lives, or within our children as well, right? Hopefully. And so, I don't know. I don't think that this is, the thing is here, I feel like for most other signs, I would be saying this and I would think, okay, this person's like going through it a little bit, feeling pretty melancholy, you know, feeling maybe a little bit lonely. I don't think that's the case. I feel like, you know, you just kind of are in your normal zone of being. I don't think that there is a sense of things really feeling too terrible. I am seeing that we have a 7, and a 7 right there. Also some repeating 7s over here. But immediately I think, yeah, there's like this feeling of an emotional jackpot. I feel like there's a sense of things really being returned to a place of power, feeling in control of your life. But it seems like it is just kind of away from your relation to anybody else. Okay, so this must be a period of time where you are really within you. You are in there doing interior work. You are fortifying self. I think that you are, you know, maybe you are basking in the light of your own glow, right? And I do think that for some reason, I keep feeling like this has been such a quiet time for you. I feel like you've been really drawn to just kind of a quiet home. If you listen to music, quieter music, or if you have the music on, it's just, you've been barely putting it on. So it's there, it's perceivable, but it's not super loud. And I don't think it's because of anything Besides that, it's just kind of the vibe. It's just kind of that time of year. It's just kind of that place that you're in where you are kind of just spending time with yourself and minimal stimuli. Whoops. There. Go over there. Go see Daddy. He's waiting for you in bed. Now, I see we have a beautiful horse. You can see the head. You can see the body. It looks like it's quite regal, really. And it looks like we have maybe a person sitting atop it. But we also have, it kind of almost looks like we have a person on top. We also have a goddess right here. You can see with her arms kind of up and the bosom. And we have this reflected here. It looks like an A or a V, A or a V. And it's symmetrical there. We also have a dog or a wolf. So maybe it's not that there's somebody on top of the horse, but the horse is running from this wolf. But the wolf doesn't seem like it's really running or anything. But there is a sense of there's a sense of some maybe risky behavior. Maybe a little bit of, maybe you're just like really like an adrenaline person. Maybe, I don't know, I was trying to think like, what is this? So many things seem risky to me as a mom. I'm like, maybe you like to walk on ice with shoes that have no good traction on the bottom. That seems like the ultimate, what was that thing called, the X Games sports? Something like that. But I do think that there's a sense of like turning towards kind of these maybe pleasurable, maybe it's just kind of a source of getting out some energies. But I feel like it's almost like you just want to run like the wild horses, you want to just exercise the energies out of you. When that creeping thing comes to the door, that thing that kind of masquerades as something sweet, something lovely, something, I don't know, caring, and when it turns its head and you look at it closely, you see, that's not my grandma. That's a wolf. That's a murderous thing there. And so I think that really there is and listen, a Scorpio reading, besides maybe Gemini, it could be Gemini as well. So many conflicting feelings at the same time, which I love. I am a big advocate of like cognitive dissonance. Have all the things, believe all the things, disbelieve all the things. It doesn't matter. A jumble, chaos. I think it's good for the mind to be going in so many directions, to have a lot of different perceptions, and to be feeling the wide spectrum of things. Now, please be taking care of yourself, though. Keep yourself in check. If you have like a check-in person, if you have a trusted person, if you have somebody, like a therapist or a counselor or whatever, a sponsor maybe, please check in with them. If you are feeling like, you're getting on the low, or you're starting to ramp up. Okay, and it's starting to feel like maybe kind of like manic, or things are getting too chaotic, or whatever it is. But I think the self-care is important, making sure that you're sticking to your routines, you're getting enough sleep, restful sleep. I think that's one of the biggest things for taking care of ourselves, no matter, if you're diagnosed with something, or if you just a human being living a human being's life. We have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves by getting enough sleep, and not just like passing out, making sure we're getting our REM sleep and getting enough, also the intentional movement to the best of your ability. A lot of us work these jobs where we're sitting a lot, or we're indoors all the time. Important to get outside where you can. I know breathing fresh air is not a fix for anything, but it kind of is. It does help. It's not going to cure any of the problems of your life, but it will help. It is important to get out there, to get a little sun, not too much. Make sure you're wearing your sunblock. And what else? Yeah, eating well, whatever that means to you. I'm not going to get into into any depth about what that means, but whatever that means for you, just make sure you're eating and drinking your fluids. Okay. So, that A and that V down there, that's interesting that it is like that. And then let's turn it this way. Let's see. I was wondering if this would look like a face, and it kind of really does. It also looks like a beast, like some kind of like a lion or something. But then it also kind of looks like a person who's like leaning backwards and looking up. And I feel like there's just all these apparitions. And I feel like there is this shift between going into an anger, into this very primal place. And then all of these kinds of, I think maybe like chaotic dreams a little bit. Maybe having a lot of synchronicities, maybe having visions. I think that this is a time where things... And this makes sense to me kind of with this idea of like wanting things to be a little more quiet and a little slower, a little more controlled. Because I think that you are leaning into that because there has been a period of time where things felt almost kind of overwhelming. Like there was a lot of, it felt like a lot of phenomenon going on. If you felt like, yeah, maybe there's like some kind of UFO or a presence or alien or jinn, I don't know, whatever is around, whatever you kind of are perceiving to be going on, it almost feels like it's like right there, and it is kind of intruding on your life. Maybe not oppressive or like in the way of like directly interacting with you, or it feels like it's nefarious in any way. But I think that this is almost kind of like like a poltergeist thing, where it's like a projection of our energies. So when you are in a place where there's a lot of stress, there's probably some disharmony in the home. Parents are arguing, kids are having these kind of, experiences with ghosts, or, some kind of specter or whatever it is, things moving around the house or whatever. And it is related to these moments of when they're around their parents screaming, and the kids are fighting, and everybody's emotional, and then all of a sudden these kinds of things start happening in the home. And it's an kind of output of psychic energy. It's being fed into the environment. And so I think to kind of combat some of this, and so it's not so overwhelming, is to get into a place of, being, in a more strict routine, really minding your P's and Q's within your life, making sure that you are giving yourself a lot of attention and being mindful. And I think that you start to come out of that place. And this is something that you learn as an initiate. That, you could be somebody like that's into absolute chaos. There are forms of magic and practitioners that they go headfirst into it. And some of them have a difficult time, regulating themselves, and it can become not unlike a mental health episode. And not just an acute one, it could be long term, right? People really do lose themselves in their belief systems, and their magic, and their experiences. Now, if you go about it in a way where you are working within a technique, you have a plan, you have a schedule, this is why we have things like ceremony, where we contain the things that we're doing, that we prepare for them. We have to practice, and we have to get all the materials that we need. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing physical ceremonial magic, but there is a process, okay? And it's not just falling down the rabbit hole and seeing what happens, living in this immersive reality of just, things going on, and you are not prepared to really deal with them. It is a place where you're living a life well-grounded, but you're also, you have access, you have that key to the doorway into the other. Okay. And so, it takes time. And I think that you understand this, even if you don't understand, maybe you're not an initiate. Maybe you're not even, you don't perceive yourself to be a practitioner of any kind. But you have this innate understanding. It just comes, it comes from a place within you, where you just know you have to kind of take your time with these things. When it starts to get a little too much, you get into those deeper routines. Okay, you get into the places where you kind of set this stuff down for a while. You go back into the, real world and, you get grounded, you get centered, you bring yourself back to a whole place. And, I think of like the Four of Discs as this energy, getting into that really fortified home base, getting all the elements in line, balanced. Okay. And so, I feel that this is a highly emotionally intelligent move. I think it's also psychically advanced. Okay. You know what you're doing. Even if you don't feel like you are, you do. You listen to yourself. Now we have a 3. It looks like we have a 3 and a 2. So we have a 32, as well as we have a 3. What are you right there? It looks like a 3 and a 0, maybe 30. So we have 32, 30. We also have the 777. as well as some other odd sevens. It's just repeating sevens everywhere. Okay. Okay, let's see. I also wanted to look at this one before we go. We have this person who is crossing over into the metaphysical realm there. And I think this is a clear sign to me that you really are like something akin to a magical worker, a magician, shaman, or somebody who has access to that in-between space. And I think that it must be that. I believe that you have been doing this for lifetimes. I don't think that this is like your first rodeo or whatever. You know what you're doing. And I almost wonder if this is like your third go around with this particular work. And I think that's why you are so proficient already. I do think that there's still a process of refinement. And so I think that, really there might be an opportunity here to go out exploring a little bit, looking for something that makes sense to you. Maybe trying out a new art medium, a creative medium, so that you can maybe paint your visions or make music or, write about it or something. I also wonder if it wouldn't be a bad thing to maybe try different kinds of meditation. Okay, I like to talk about transcendental meditation here because I like the idea of the visual aspects of it. Although, it's not one particular brand of meditation exactly. I think that it's very individual, right? So I think it's something to look into, though. I think there's a lot. And I also have a little bit of a bias because I'm a huge David Lynch fan, and he runs an institute, or maybe I think it's an institute, or maybe it's like a nonprofit or some kind of, whatever. I don't know what it's called exactly, but David Lynch is a very strong advocate for transcendental meditation. And so I'm not saying go join up, nothing like that. If you know me from my channel, I will constantly say I don't have any affiliation to anything. I absolutely am not somebody that belongs. I'm not a belonger. I've never joined any, religion or I don't know, magical system officially. I've never been initiated aside from myself and with my own intelligences. So I bring up these different things because they speak to me, not because I'm telling you to go join anything. I'm not recruiting. But yes, it might be something to look into. Also, I love active imagination, which is a Jungian technique, which, if you don't know who Carl Jung is, he is one of the originators of psychotherapy and quite a mystic. And anyways, he had a technique called active imagination. I won't go too far into it. Aside from, it is a really interesting way to kind of filter through some of the imagery that might be coming up for you. Okay, so if you're interested, go and look into some of the beginning techniques. There are a lot of writings on active imagination, and I think it is a very useful tool. And again, you don't have to join anything. You don't have to. Okay, so let's see. We have a bird. So we have a messenger. We have an L and a U. I feel like I just keep getting this feeling in my mind. There is somebody who I think maybe you live with them. I think maybe they might be a spouse or a partner or somebody maybe you're dating, somebody you love. Although it could be, a family member or a good friend. But there is a love there that is really deep. I just keep feeling like there's this sense of like they're so far away. Even though you see each other constantly, there's a sense of just not speaking to each other, but not because it's not like I don't feel like it's a conflict so much as indifference, which I think it feels worse, right? But I think it's going to pass. I don't think that this is anything to worry about deeply. I think that your person has their own stuff going on. You have your stuff going on. And I think that really the thing to do here, if there's anything to do, is just to let them know, that you care and you love them and you're there, you're available, But this is just kind of what the state of things are at the moment. And I know that this can feel difficult for Scorpio, especially because, I think a lot of times your love languages are physical affection and a sense of intimacy in being able to communicate, be close to each other, very entwined into each other's being. And when that's not happening, it can feel like a rejection. But that's just not always the case, right? A lot of times it's just the ebb and flow of life. And I think that's what's happening here. Okay. All right, so we have the Divine Doors cards. I'm going to flip through these cards. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says, deeper. You are not finished. You are not yet done. Dig deeper and deeper. The best is to come. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. I feel like this relates completely to what we were just talking about. So I'm going to leave it there. That's bravo cards. You knew exactly which one to pop out with. All right. Okay, Scorpio. I'm going to tell you off the top here. I love you. I love you. I love you. I appreciate you. You are wonderful. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel so much. If you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. I absolutely look forward to reading the comments every day. So with that, I'm going to say again, I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in just a few days. Okay. Goodbye. Good night. Oh, it's the season finale of True Detective, the new season. So I'm hurrying up. I'm off to go watch my show, my stories. All right. I love you. Goodbye.